Within these walls, knowledge was not stored. It was alive. Scrolls arrived daily, copied by hand with obsessive care, their originals sealed away like sacred relics. Sailors were questioned, travelers interrogated, philosophers challenged. Any ship that entered Alexandria's harbor risked having its books seized, not as theft, but as devotion. The library sought nothing less than everything ever written: mathematics from Babylon, medicine from Egypt, poetry from Greece, astronomy from Persia, and histories from lands few Alexandrians would ever see. The scholars lived simply, but thought expansively. They debated under shaded colonnades, argued over meals, and walked the gardens late into the night, tracing ideas through the stars above. Here, Euclid shaped geometry into a logical system that would endure for millennia. Eratosthenes measured the circumference of the earth with shadows and reason alone. Physicians dissected the human body not with superstition, but with method. In Alexandria, questioning was not rebellion, it was duty. Yet this devotion to knowledge came with pressure. To study here was to compete with the greatest minds of the age. Reputation was forged in debate, destroyed in contradiction. A flawed argument could echo through the halls long after the speaker had left. And still, they returned each morning, because nowhere else on earth offered such proximity to truth. As the sun climbed higher over the Mediterranean, light poured through the library's courtyards, illuminating shelves upon shelves of papyrus, fragile, flammable, irreplaceable. The scholars knew this. Knowledge was powerful, but vulnerable. It required protection, patronage, and constant renewal. Empires rose and fell, but ideas, if preserved, could outlive them all. Alexandria believed that if humanity could gather its wisdom in one place, it might finally understand itself. And for a moment in history, it almost did. Order was not a luxury in Alexandria. It was survival. Without structure, the library would have collapsed under the sheer weight of its ambition. A single scroll might represent decades of thought, a lifetime of observation, or the last surviving voice of a distant culture. To misplace one was to erase a fragment of humanity itself. Scholars did not merely read these works, they interrogated them. Texts were compared line by line, copied and recopied to correct errors introduced by careless hands. Marginal notes accumulated like quiet conversations across generations. Contradictions were not hidden. They were examined, debated, and sometimes celebrated. In Alexandria, disagreement was not failure. It was progress. Translation became one of the library's most revolutionary acts. Works written in Egyptian, Persian, Hebrew, and countless regional dialects were rendered into Greek, the intellectual lingua franca of the age. Meaning had to survive the crossing from one language to another, a delicate task that required not just fluency, but philosophical sensitivity. A single mistranslated word could bend an entire theory, but this relentless pursuit of order and accuracy came at a cost. Knowledge stripped of mystery becomes dangerous to those who rule by myth. As generations passed, political winds shifted, patronage wavered, rival cities rose, and whispers began to circulate. Questions about whether so much knowledge should exist in one place, or in any place at all. Still, within the library's walls, the work continued. Scholars arrived before dawn and left long after dusk, hands stained with ink, minds crowded with ideas older than nations. They believed, perhaps naively, that truth, once written and preserved, could not be destroyed. History would prove otherwise. Scribes were the silent engine of Alexandria. Their labor was relentless. Hour after hour, they sat in bright rooms, copying scrolls by hand, knowing that a single misplaced mark could twist meaning forever. Reeds were sharpened, inks mixed, papyrus stretched smooth beneath steady fingers. Precision was not optional. It was survival. Some scribes specialized deeply. Medical texts, mathematical proofs, astronomical calculations. Each discipline demanded mastery of its own language. Others became restorers, rescuing damaged scrolls from decay, reconstructing fragmented knowledge like intellectual archaeologists piecing together the past. Their work ensured that ideas outlived their creators. The halls themselves were alive with voices. Alexandria did not treat knowledge as something silent. Teaching here was loud, confrontational, and alive. Philosophers lectured in the morning, debated ethics by midday, and argued over the movement of the stars long after the sun had passed its peak. Geometry collided with philosophy. Astronomy challenged religion. Nothing was sacred from questioning. Students arrived from every corner of the known world: Greeks, Egyptians, Jews, Persians, different cultures, languages, and beliefs, all studying side by side. Alexandria was not just a center of knowledge. It was a crossroads where civilizations thought together. Meals were shared, funded by the state, but never quiet. Bread and olives were accompanied by argument. Ideas were sharpened over conversation, challenged without mercy. To be wrong was acceptable. To be careless was not. Reputation mattered. A name spoken with respect could echo across centuries. A careless mind could disappear without a trace. In Alexandria, knowledge was not passive. It was lived, fought over, defended, and endlessly refined. Research in Alexandria was nothing short of revolutionary. This was not a place where knowledge was merely preserved. It was tested, challenged, and expanded. Scholars here measured the earth itself, charted the movements of distant stars, dissected animals to understand life, and studied the human body with a level of rigor unseen in the ancient world. Eratosthenes stood in the sunlight and changed humanity's understanding of the planet. By observing shadows and applying pure geometry, he calculated the circumference of the Earth with astonishing accuracy, without satellites, without machines, armed only with reason. Euclid transformed geometry from scattered observations into a precise, logical system, built on axioms so elegant that they are still taught over 2,000 years later. Physicians abandoned superstition in favor of observation, recording symptoms, treatments, and giving outcomes with empirical discipline. This was science before the word existed. Nothing here was passive. Scrolls were not endpoints. They were starting points. Every text invited challenge. Every claim demanded proof. Alexandria did not ask what was believed. It asked what could be demonstrated. Time itself, bent around intellectual labor. Mornings began with reading and copying as scholars absorbed the accumulated knowledge of generations. By midday, halls filled with voices, lectures, disputes, demonstrations. Ideas collided openly, sharpened through argument. Afternoons were reserved for solitude, writing, calculation, experimentation, reflection. This was where breakthroughs were born. Evenings brought no true rest. As oil lamps flickered to life, small groups gathered in quiet corners to debate philosophy, review new discoveries, or question long-held assumptions. The city darkened, but the library did not. Lamps burned late. Minds stayed awake. In Alexandria, knowledge was not a hobby. It was a discipline, a calling, a force that shaped the rhythm of every day. Because here, the pursuit of understanding was not bound by daylight, and knowledge, once awakened, refused to sleep. Yet life within the library was not a serene paradise of pure thought. Pressure was constant. Competition was ruthless. Scholars did not only pursue truth, they pursued recognition, royal favor, and intellectual dominance. Reputation was currency, and there was never enough to go around. Debates could turn bitter. Rival schools clashed over the meaning of Homer's verses or the fundamental nature of reality itself. One interpretation could elevate a scholar to prominence. Another could ruin him. Disagreements were not merely academic, they carried consequences. Exile, disgrace, or the quiet withdrawal of patronage were very real threats. To fall out of favor was to disappear. Ambition walked hand in hand with discovery. The same drive that pushed minds to brilliance also sharpened rivalries. Alexandria rewarded excellence, but it punished failure without mercy. And beyond the walls of the library, the city thundered with life. Markets overflowed with voices, spices, and foreign goods. Temples echoed with prayer and ritual. The lighthouse of Pharos burned through the night, its beams slicing across the sea, guiding ships home, and symbolically illuminating the city's claim as the beacon of human knowledge. The scholars were not isolated monks lost in abstraction. They were citizens of Alexandria, a city alive with political tension, cultural collision, and royal intrigue. Greek rulers governed Egyptian land. Cultures overlapped. Loyalties were fragile. Power shifted quickly. Every scroll copied, every idea debated, every discovery made existed within this volatile world. Knowledge did not float above politics. It was entangled with it. Because in Alexandria, ideas were powerful, and power was never without risk. And yet, within the library's walls, there existed something rare, an awareness of eternity. The scholars of Alexandria believed they were safeguarding humanity's memory itself. Every scroll copied was a small victory against oblivion. Every corrected line, every clarified argument, was a step closer to truth. They worked with a quiet understanding. Papyrus decays, cities burn, empires collapse. But ideas, if preserved with care, can outlive them all. Knowledge was fragile, yes, but also powerful. And guarding it was a sacred duty. As night settled over Alexandria, the city began to soften. The sea caught the moonlight, shimmering beyond the harbor. Inside the library, the final scribes laid down their reeds. Ink dried. Scrolls were carefully wrapped and returned to their places. Voices faded into whispers. Another day of relentless thought had come to an end. In the 3rd century before the Common Era, life as a scholar in Alexandria was both a rare privilege and an unforgiving calling. It demanded discipline, curiosity, and endurance. This was not a life devoted to conquest or wealth, but to understanding, to measuring the world, questioning the heavens, and defining humanity's place within the vast unknown. And for a brief, extraordinary moment in history, Alexandria became the mind of the ancient world, a city powered not by armies but by ideas, not by fear but by curiosity, built by men and women who believed one profound truth: that knowledge itself was the highest form of immortality,